Ah, boy. All right, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Let me say shout out to all the people who came into the live stream and stuff today, and everybody who's watched videos and so on. And I get people that ask me and say, hey, you need to go ahead and do recipes for your the food you serve at your, home gating and stuff. And I say, I do. I actually have a channel where I'm putting all my cooking stuff on it. Cooking and Tailgating with Joe Boo, okay? So each week now, every time I do different cooking and stuff like that, I put it on the channel. So there's some recipes on there from when I was doing keto. There's also the tailgating recipes and tips on ways of serving great food and making it economical too. There's a lot of tips and stuff in there, where you can buy bulk food and things like that and cook stuff and have multiple, feasts and things like that. So tomorrow, people have been asking, all right, so what you doing for tomorrow night? Tomorrow, we're going to be doing the 3-foot Italian sub, okay? We're hoping that the New York Giants will be spitting out their Italian sub. We'll be doing Joe Boo wings, Joe Boo wings as well for the game. Here's the crazy thing about the NFL. I almost find it comical because I'm old enough to remember when people say we should have Josh McDaniels as our coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And I say, Josh McDaniels, the disciples of Bill Belichick, his tree directly has not been good in the NFL. Now, my man down in Tennessee, he's had actually quite a bit of success, but, they finally got their first win of the season. They're 1-2 right now. And Mike Vrabel. But they were the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. They lost the first round. Of course, nobody talks about those guys. But be that as it may, a lot of people wanted us to hire Josh McDaniels before. And I kind of said, stay away from Bill Belichick guys. They don't have that great track record. And you already have a team. See, this is where you got to be careful what you wish for. You got to be careful what you wish for. Because people always think the grass is greener on the other side. They had Rich, I can't pronounce his last name, with the Raiders last year, who literally went through dealing with all of the John Gruden stuff and being, taking over after John Gruden, dealing, of course, with Mark Davis, dealing with all of that negativity. He got the Raiders with Derek Carr to the playoffs. His reward was, well, we're going to replace you with Josh McDaniels. And they've started out 0-3 after going out and getting Davante Adams. And that reminds me of the Lions, because the Lions had Carwell, who 2 out of 4 seasons had the Lions in the playoffs. They didn't win a playoff game, but they were in the playoffs. We're talking about the Lions. And even the 2 years that they didn't, I believe he only had 1 losing season. I think it was 7-9. And they said, no, we're the Lions. That's not good enough. We're going to fire you, and we're going to go get, Matt Patricia. Yeah, we'll get Matt Patricia. We'll get a Bill Belichick guy, and he's going to be Bill Belichick. And they ended up going straight down the toilet. And they're still trying to recover. Now, I will say that the Lions are doing better now. They are doing better than they were. They're actually a decent team right now. But be that as it may, you have to be careful of what you wish for. The Washington Commanders, they wanted anybody but Kirk Cousins. Oh, hell no, Kirk Cousins is ass. Let him walk after franchise tagging him twice. And you think about how many quarterbacks they've gone through. Now, my thing with Carson Wentz was, I thought Carson Wentz would be good enough for Washington to win some games and make them basically out of contention on getting a first-round quarterback. Well, talking to my son Rio, who was at the game. I don't know if Rio left at halftime or not, because I'm sure he was throwing up his Italian sub. I bet you he was wishing he was actually here because the food is better than what you get at FedEx. His whole statement was, I called him, didn't answer the phone. I texted him to make sure he was okay. I said, son, are you okay? He said, I hate this team. I hate this team. I haven't seen his, video. I'm sure he lambasted the Washington Commanders. It's sad. It's really sad because they've gone through, and the amount of money they put out, the amount of draft picks that they put out since they let go of Kirk Cousins, they've been in better shape had they taken the draft picks that they spent on quarterbacks and putting it on other players, holding on to Kirk Cousins and taking the money that they spent on all these other guys and spend it on other players, they'd be a good team. You got to be careful what you wish for, because you might get it and you find out you were wrong. So, as people go through and they say, fire Mike McCarthy, get rid of Kellen Moore, trade Dak, be careful what you wish for, because you might end up getting something that ends up being a lot worse. Maybe not. Maybe it ends up being that, everything gets to be perfect. But the problems for the Cowboys haven't been just since Mike McCarthy got here. The problems of the Cowboys haven't been here just since Dak Prescott got here or Kellen Moore. The problems of the Dallas Cowboys have been since Jerry Jones fired Jimmy Johnson. That Jerry Jones's ego has been looking for that high of saying, I built the team. I put these guys together. I'm on top of the world. He has been looking for that high for those 26 years and making mistake after mistake after mistake. And there's nothing we can do about it. He owns the team. The funny thing is not everything that they do is wrong. You can't be a complete F up and find a Micah Parsons. You can't be a complete F up and find a Dak Prescott in the 4th round. You can't be an F up and find all these players that end up being Pro Bowl players. You can't be an F up and somehow still win 12 games and make the playoffs. The problem is like my own personal problem. My own personal problem is I get gung-ho on a new project. I go balls to the wall on that project getting going. The problem for me is that last 5%. I get bored at the end. That punch list, that little minutia stuff, that little teeny bit at the end that I don't want to do. I want to go on to something else. But it's that last 5% that makes the difference. It's that last 5% that people remember. You can do 99 things right, but if you do one thing wrong, that one thing is what everybody's going to focus on. The Cowboys are great at finding guys that nobody else did as undrafted free agents. As you look at the guys that have been in the Hall of Fame, that have started for them, like the Tony Romos, the Drew Pearsons, the Terrence Steeles, they are great at that. You can look at the 1st round draft picks and finding Micah Parsons and finding, Tyron Smith and Travis Frederick and Zach Martin, great players, and Des Bryant's. You could say they do that great. But it's that 5% of getting over the hump, of finishing the job, that has been the problem for the Cowboys. They're good at finding great role players and bargain basement guys. Their failing is that 5% of saying, I just need a guy or two to get me over the hump or to bridge me till these young guys are ready to be the guy. That's the only problem with the Cowboys. They do 95% of it right. It's that last 5% that's so important. Now, tomorrow, we face the Giants. Right now, the NFL is doing what the NFL does. All of these teams that they were talking about were the juggernauts early on, and this is still September, that we look at and say, that's going to be a playoff team, and that's going to be a playoff team, and they're going to be ass. The NFL world has turned upside its head. Now, we still haven't gotten to October, and it's usually about the middle of October before you really know which teams are really good teams. This time last year, Carolina Panthers were 3-0, and they were the toast of the town before they proceeded to go crash and burn. So you don't know what you don't know. But the Cowboys have an opportunity to really get back in the thick of things with the Giants tomorrow. They can go through, and believe me, there's a lot of ugly football out there. Yeah, you have Tampa Bay and Green Bay, the battle of the Bays with the two best quarterbacks of football, and there's not 30 points scored between the two of them. It's 26. There's a lot of ugly football out there. But in the end, it doesn't matter if it's pretty or ugly. The only thing that counts is that you win the game. And if the Cowboys can find a way to win tomorrow, they're actually in a pretty good position then. So that's what I got for you guys. I'm going to go to bed because tomorrow's a big day. I need to go to my mama's house because I need to replace a storm door and fix her shower. I got to pick up the big sub and get all the meats and stuff because we got to have the meats for the sub and be ready to rock and roll. I might even take a nap tomorrow afternoon to make sure that I am fully awake and ready to go for the game. And so, with all of that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, as well as you ladies. And remember to tell the people you love them. Because you might not get the chance again. And I love you guys. And God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.